And our first laureate is Dr. Huda Zoghbi. Huda is professor at Baylor College of Medicine, an investigator with the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, and director of the Jan and Dan Duncan Neurological Research Institute at Texas Children's Hospital in Houston. And she was awarded for the discovery of the genetic basis of Rett syndrome and its implication for autism spectrum disorders. And so as Huda comes to the stage, you'll hear her chosen piece of music, which is Try Everything by Shakira.
Thank you so much. I didn't expect to be as emotional walking up here. I thought I had it under control. Good evening, everyone. I'm really deeply honored to stand here before you, surrounded by the Gairdner Foundation members, esteemed board, government officials, and selection committee. I feel really deeply honored to be part of the Gairdner family. And what a way to get into this family. Spending a few days in Canada from the west to the east, meeting the next generation, the fantastic students who are so eager, and meeting so many fantastic faculty. I really, really enjoyed this week here. I would like to thank the foundation, Dr. Terrell, Consul General Alsace, and Janet Rossand, a true scientist, and a great, wonderful colleague. It was Janet who called me last January to tell me I had won this award. I will never forget her call. I was in Beirut visiting my mother, and it was midnight when the phone rang. Janet's timing was impeccable. For my mother was the one who convinced me to study medicine. I had wanted to study literature, but my mother insisted I pursue a career that would allow me to support myself. She used every tactic she could do, including crying, and I eventually relented and discovered a love of medicine. So my mother is ultimately responsible for my being here today. My deepest gratitude goes to the patients who inspired me, and the mentors who guided me, and the collaborators and trainees who share the joy of doing research. And on the topic of trainees, I want to let you know I'm having a lot of roots here in Canada. 4 of my lab graduates in the last 2 years are either already in Canada, represented by G.Hay Park at Sick Kids, or coming to Canada in the next 3 months. I'm very proud of that. But I'd like to say first a few words about my mentors. I'm forever grateful to the late Ralph Feigen, who hired me as a pediatric resident at Baylor College of Medicine and taught me clinical scholarship. I'm also eternally grateful to Marvin Fishman, who inspired me to become a neurologist. Otherwise, I was going to be a cardiologist. So that was a big event. As you've heard from the video, my scientific journey began when I saw my first Rett patient, Ashley, as a resident at Texas Children's Hospital. Rett is really heartbreaking. But beyond being heartbreaking, it's also intriguing. What could cause a seemingly healthy girl to lose language, motor skills, social skills over a matter of months, and then to stay like this for decades? My encounter with Ashley and more girls like her with the same symptoms drove me to pursue a career in basic research. I was convinced that Rett had to be genetic, so I asked the renowned geneticist, Art Baudet, if he could take me into his lab. He took me despite the fact I had no research background whatsoever, and he taught me how to do science. He is a dear friend to this day and remain in his debt forever. Now, there is a little side story where, again, I was influenced by a Canadian at that time. When I joined Art Boudette's lab, a very famous Canadian scientist, who is now the interim director of CIHR, was finishing his sabbatical in Art's lab, and I got his bench and his reagents. And I think that had to do a little bit with my success, maybe a lot. Over the next 16 years, many families came forward to participate in our studies, and those in other labs. I'm grateful to all of them for their patience and faith. I'm also thankful to Ruthie Amir, the postdoc in my lab who was determined and who finally found the mutations in the red gene after many years of negative data. She trusted me in my conviction that this sporadic disease had to be genetic. I'm grateful for that. I'm also thankful to all my trainees who continue to work passionately to help those affected by MACP2 disorders. I never imagined that we would learn so much about the brain through our continued work on this disorder. MACP2 orchestrates the expression of so many genes and the function of neurons. It's really the reason we need it so that we can think clearly, move smoothly, breathe easily. It's such an essential protein. We are working on treatments, though, and we won't give up. We will try everything until we succeed. My profoundest gratitude goes to my wonderful husband, William, who has been my partner every step of the way, even while reaching great heights in his own career as a cardiologist. We met during our first year in medical school, and since then, he has been my rock and my only true stress-free zone. His unconditional support and love has made my career, our two wonderful children, and this award possible. Thank you.